Mr. MC, what's your name again, please?
My name is Derek Ankwano Kuju.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, I'm Manny Niedo.
Hi. Good to hear from you. Good to hear your voices. Good to know that you're doing well. Good to know that you're in good spirits. Because some of us have been really worried about you. And the news we hear, and as you can see, the virus has finally reached us in the UK too. And a bit of panic, a bit of fear. Now we are beginning to experience what you have been experiencing for over 2 months now. So to hear you, I've been quiet here, listening and enjoying your interaction. So God bless you, and we thank God, we thank Allah for keeping you safe, for holding and protecting you. We've not heard any bad news, and we pray that will never be the case. It's not our portion, that God will continue to shield and protect you. So in the end, at some point, we'll meet again and we'll all rejoice and look back and see this whole coronavirus outbreak as a history, one of those histories again. So thank you so much. And I want to use this opportunity, first of all, to thank the Honorable President Felizardo, for NUGS-CHINA. And I thank God for your life. I thank God for your leadership. I thank God for the encouragement we have received from you. Even as we're far away from you, we still see the strength, the resilience that we see even from afar and hear from you. It's so encouraging. It's making some of us, also strong and hold on and still believe in life. I want to thank also the executives of NUGS-CHINA. I was there last year, missed the conference a little bit, but it was lovely to see the newly elected officers, to meet some of you and chat with you. And hopefully I will be back and see you face to face again. And we will all praise God and Allah for the gift of life. So thank you. Mr. Chairman, or Mr. MC, Mr. President, I guess you are the chair for tonight's event. I want us to have this conversation. It's a conversation we want to have. I'm not here to lecture anybody. I want us to have this discussion, and it's important that we look at ourselves. From time to time, we examine our position and look at ourselves and see how well we are doing. And then we can plan ahead and see how best we want to do. In life, the most successful people in life have a goal. And their number one goal is that their tomorrow will be better than today in all things, whether it is education, business, leadership, service, marriage, family, whatever they do. They live their life as if there is no tomorrow. So today is their best ever. And so they give everything they have for today. whilst they prepare for tomorrow to do even better. And I want you to hold on to that. You should never, ever be complacent or have enough or accept to be a second class or accept gift or aid. You should look at yourself and always want to bless, always want to be in charge, always want to be a warehouse of blessing, always want to be the one who gives, the one who have enough, and so want to bless others with what he or she has been blessed with. That way, you will become a role model. That way, you will live an enjoyable life. That way, you will be a blessing. And that way, you will live a fulfilled life and be remembered. Nobody remembers the beggar, but everybody remembers the most richest man or the rich men in our communities. We see their homes, we see their businesses, and we see their children, and even sometimes their children's children. And so I want you to be thinking that way. May I even say this to you, our honorable family members in China, that the whole of Ghana is looking at you. Ghanaians in the diaspora, Ghanaians back home, every single one of us are hoping that those of you in China, in education right now, will change our nation. It's not those of us in the UK. We know how many of our leaders schooled in the UK, how many of them schooled in Americas, in Europe. But what is different is this: before they get here in Europe, the nation had already been built. So they came and fit into the system. But those of you in China, as you can see what is happening now, especially those of you who've been there for a year, 2, 3, 4, China is developing and developing fast. And you're seeing it with your naked eyes. You have seen their attitude towards life, especially towards work. And we want you to copy that so that we can also learn from you. We're hoping that you will come back one day to Ghana and encourage the entire nation that you have been changed, that you are a changed instrument, and you want to use whatever change you have acquired to influence the rest of us. It is an opportunity I will encourage you and challenge you to take. Be different as we hope and wait to see your uniqueness when you return home, so that we can also learn from you. I'll repeat this: do not take life for granted and do not accept aids or gifts. Anyone who tells you you cannot do because you do not have, and so they want to give you a gift, you say, no, teach me how to do it, so I can also build and make my own wealth. Thank you. Our topic for today has to do with education. And I'm going to challenge you, as I said, education, and we're going to talk. I have divided the talk into 5 sessions. The first one is, what is education? And here's how I want us to do it. This should be an interactive section, okay? So I'll be asking a lot of questions and I'll be challenging you. And I want you to take this day and whatever we're doing here seriously. My dad taught me something when I was growing up. Even though I was young, I had some kind of realization that what he was teaching me was true. And he kept telling me, he said, the smartest people in life, they learn from other people's mistake, other people's experience. So you sit down and you study people, what they do right and what they did not do quite right. And then you learn from that. So you don't repeat the same mistakes. And that's a human a gift or attitude, an attribute which you all have or possess. So we'll talk about what is education. Why is education necessary at all? When should one be educated? Where should one acquire education? And finally, the topic for the day. How do we use our experience or our learned experience to impact first ourselves, our society or small communities, to our nation, our continent as Black people of African origin, and then globally. We belong to the global world, the global village, and as you all know, we've had some massive Ghanaians who have led the world. A popular one, Kofi Annan, and so many, Kwame Nkrumah and co have, shown that you can come from a small village somewhere and yet make a massive impact on the rest of the world. You have an opportunity. You have been blessed with gifts. You've been blessed with talent that nobody can take from you. You've also been blessed with gifts. Some of you scholarships, some of you from government, others from your parents, some of you saved to be where you are. It's all gifts. Because so many would like to be in your position, but they are not. So once you find yourself in this kind of opportunity or position, and you have these opportunities, at your disposal, you make good use of it. It would have been great for all of us to have the experience of traveling around. I always say the best form of education is travel. Travel around, learn from other people, learn from other culture, see how life is lived differently in different parts of the world, what life means to other people. To some people, it's all about waking up in the morning, brushing your teeth, jumping on the bus, going to work, boss is telling you what to do. You finish at 5, jump back on the bus into your car, and you drive home, you eat, you watch television, you sleep, you wake up, again, brush your teeth, start again. To some, life is a struggle. So wherever you find yourself, whatever situation you find yourself, I want to remind you, it's a gift. And when gifts are not properly looked after, it becomes waste. So I will challenge you. Look at yourself. Look at where you're coming from. If you don't have anywhere you're going in mind yet, that's fine. But don't waste the opportunity you have now. And make sure you learn from your environment. All right? And make sure that your learning become a tool useful to your own building those around you, and perhaps one day building the world. We can. If you doubt it, I have shown you example of Kofi Annan, Kwame Nkrumah, and co. And recently, we have a Ghanaian engineer who led the whole NASA science team to land a robot on Mars. Who's told you you cannot do it? Who's been telling you you're not good enough? Who said because you went to Asamankasi Secondary School, you cannot become the leader of this world or the chairman of a great party or a CEO somewhere? I want to challenge you today. Okay? And so I want you to learn from my own personal mistakes. So I have to come back to university after 21 years. And after 21 years, I came to university different, with different mindset, different aptitude. I hear some of you, I see our students around and I laugh because I was once like that. And so this is why I'm trying to challenge you here, because time flies like that. All right. And if you don't utilize opportunities and the gifts at your exposure today, one day it will become waste. At my age now, I have no choice but to run my own company, my own establishment, because at my age now, I'm not going to sit down anywhere in a queue somewhere begging to be interviewed so that someone can tell me what to do and pay me. I wish when I was at university 21 years ago, I had people to encourage me to do my very best and aim so high that when I miss, I will land somewhere in the middle, and that will still be good enough. So I have to start all over again because I wasted my earlier years. And so I want you to learn from me. So what is education? I don't think we can type or communicate here. So yeah, you can write a question down. I think somehow we'll find a way of interacting. Even after the session, we can still chat if I have questions and stuff like that. We talk about it. What is education to many of you? If I ask you now, may I ask one or two volunteers to tell me what they think education is? Who won't volunteer and tell us? Yes, sir, big man, I can see you in the video.
Yeah, my name is Collins. Education is being able to impact your knowledge on people who are less privileged. Well, yeah.
Thank you very much. To be able to impart your knowledge on people who are less privileged. Okay. Mr. OPK, you want to give us? Hello? Christopher?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You want to tell us what you think education is?
The key to
Yeah, I'm really grateful for your message, and I will define education as a process of first of all acquiring knowledge and impacting it. I'll put it in these two ways: the process of first acquiring knowledge and then impacting it. This is how I define education.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Please, who just spoke? Your name again?
Christopher Na.
Yeah.
His spell is Na as N-A-R-H.
I think I also want to define education.
Michael. Adani.
Yeah.
Okay.
Education is the process of becoming aware of one's environment for a better and informed decision making.
Thank you very much. Becoming aware of your environment, gain
for
information.
A better and informed decision making. Thank you.
For a better and an informed decision making. Thank you very much, Michael. Is there any lady there who want to tell us something? Okay, Yawa. Hey, Mr. Yawa no day.
Sadiq.
Give us your name and tell us what you think what education is.
I heard. Okay. Sadiq, are you speaking?
In the green. I don't think he's aware. Okay, I had a lady coming in briefly.
Yeah, Sadiq, we can see you, but.
Oh, Sadiq.
Yawanode, I don't know if your mic is on mute.
Education is being informed and nurtured on a particular subject, environment, or situation.
Thank you very much. That's who was that?
Yes, David is here. Can I bring some definition along?
All right. What's your name, please? Tell us your name, then you can come in.
Yeah, my name is David.
David, okay.
Yeah. Education is about the training of one's mind, and that's training having an impact on one's society and oneself.
Thank you very much.
Training of one's mind, which the training has an impact on society and oneself. That's education, in my opinion.
Thank you very, very much, David.
You're welcome.
All right.
Can I also come in?
Oh, okay. Richard Yabua.
Yeah. I also think that education is about the reorganization of knowledge, which has organization of knowledge.
Okay.
That actually leads to a transformation in one's life. That is my understanding.
Let me also comment.
J. Brown.
Yeah, I'll just define education in my own words as a continuous way of, acquiring knowledge and impacting what you've learned to the betterment of the society you live in.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for your definition. I appreciate your time and your contribution. Genuinely, thank you. All right, so I have simple explanation or interpretation to the word education. Life. Simple. Education is life.
My turn.
Fela.
Ebenezer.
Fela, you are on.
What's it like?
Let's go. You are on. Let's go.
For the sake of time, let's be serious. And, when you're coming on air, please, let's go to the point and let's hurry up here.
Okay. My definition of education also is acquiring of knowledge, skills, values, and habits. That's how I define education.
All right, thank you. So that's enough. Let's move on because we don't have much time. Thank you so much, Philip. Right. So like I said, for me, education means life. And so many psychologists I have read from believe education is life. Okay? So why is education life? Take, for instance, the animal in the forest. Parents teaching them how to hunt. Why? To survive. To protect themselves, to feed themselves, and even how to bring their young up with the help of natural. There's some noise coming from. Please put your mics on mute. Please. Thank you very much. So education is life. Without education, it depends, or depending on where you are in your life, your geographical location, life could be difficult or maybe easy. But in today's world, especially with this kind of Eurocentric design institutional educational systems we have, which England and the UK has done so well to spread around the world and insist that everybody follows their format of education, and we are all buying and paying for it today. Without this kind of education, life will become very, very miserable to many. It is true, without education, our honorable president wouldn't have been the president of Ghana. I'm not sure that anybody will become the president of Ghana without education or formal education. I'm not sure Nkrumah would have been where he was, Kofi Annan, George Bush, anybody apart from traditional rulers. And even so, with traditional ruling, we expect our traditional leaders today are constantly being sought after those who have lived in the diaspora or have some form of formal education, so that when you meet your people, you can at least understand the language the foreign man is speaking or read and be able to write. So education has become life. Without it, you will not be anywhere, or you will struggle in life. So if education is life, then it means we must take it serious. It also means that we must have a system in place to help us nurture ourselves into that kind of education. So we have all kinds of educational systems in the world, everyone trying to come up with the best system. The British has always been making noise about the educational system. And recently the world has realized that the British education is not the best. And we have seen Finland being judged the best educational system, Malaysia. But the British have sold themselves so well and their system so well that it doesn't matter who is leading the league table, people will still prefer to come to the UK to study. And the UK certificate will be preferred to many certificates acquired across the globe. What is more important now to many, that the normal system of education is changing, and now people can actually express themselves. We're in the age of IT. And we have seen how fast information technology is changing the world. It is believed that some people have natural ability when it comes to IT. It is judged that Indians in particular have something in their gene that help them to do better in anything relating to information technology or communication. So you have all the bosses from Google to whatever, they're all Indians. And people believe when you go to the tech cities, it's filled up with Indians. And now China is coming up. And China is proving to the world across all fields of education that you can become educated, learned, exposed to knowledge, experience, and expertise if you're determined, if you're willing, and if you have the necessary support in place. I thank God for the government of Ghana and our parents helping us to gain this kind of knowledge across the globe. And so you're there. Once again, I'll remind you, everyone knows China and what China is doing in the world. So if education means life, and if our country will move forward and progress productively, then we need a different kind of education. And that kind of education you guys have in China. And so don't just go to that lecture hall, that university, and be one of the students. Don't just go there and return back to Ghana as you went, or just with a certificate. I want to challenge you again. Do not be an ordinary student. Strive to be one of those who will soon be mentioned somewhere in the news because you're capable and you have no excuse not to be the best. We spend a lot of time playing. We spend a lot of our time not on education or things that people will call education, because somebody was arguing with me the last time that watching YouTube is education. Yes, it depends on what you're watching on YouTube, but the point is, how much time are you dedicating to that which you're watching? And what is it that you're watching? If it is educating you, brilliant. If it's for fun, if it's to laugh, there is time for that. The things you devote your time and resources into, how much time you spend on things, whatever it is what you value most, is what you will have. So what is it I am buying with my time, my resources, my energy? What is it that I'm spending my time and resources on? Let's do or go the extra mile to educate ourselves. So I'll become one of the best engineers ever, one of the best doctors, one of the best communication experts or scholars, one of the best, whatever field you are. That should be your aim, because you know that that will be your life. Because the world, the more you do or the better you do, the better the reward. So if I am an employer, as I am, if I am employing someone, I'm looking at you, what would I gain? What are you adding to, what value are you bringing on board? What are you going to add to my establishment? Is it worth the amount or the money or the reward? So that can only show, because the things you do repetitively, you do over and over and over and over again. The things you hear over and over and over again. The things you read over and over and over again is what you become. What you read, you hear, you do is who you are. So let's do education. Let's read education. Let's hear education. And let's become educated. Not just educated with certificates, but from your own explanation, when I ask to explain what you think education means, you said it all, so that you become useful, so that you will impact your knowledge acquired, the exposure and experience and expertise on the less fortunate. So why do we need this? We need it. Why education? Because without education, as I've said already in my chats, life becomes so difficult. Without education, life becomes difficult. And somebody asked, why are Africans educated, so well educated, and yet our continent is still struggling? That is another whole topic, which we're not going to go into. But what it means is that somebody is busy planning or has been busy planning their own life and future. And it is time for us, or what we have done now or doing now, is to buy into their future. So we become useful to those people who have designed this whole system of education. And we can only be useful to them. So, for instance, if Ghana has natural resources and we want to benefit from natural resources, then we should be educated in a way that we will use our education to process our natural resources so that we will add value to our natural resources, and our natural resources will be useful to us and those who need it. So if we are trained to be, let's say, for instance, if Ghanaians are trained to be experts in something to do with snow, and we're educated in, how to actually manage snow, clear snow or design equipment to work in the snow and stuff like that. And we graduate with first-class degree, distinctions, whatever. Who is going to employ you in Ghana? You have to find a way somewhere and go somewhere that you will be useful. And so when African leaders talk about brain drain, I laugh. Because why would I waste my whole life in a place where I am not needed? when I am so good in what I do. So we have to, me and you, we have to sit down sometime and get involved in the planning of education, since education is life. And we have seen the impact education has had on our lives and our country, our continent, and other countries compared to other countries. We need to start having the conversation. How do we get involved? Sit in those boardrooms with the ministers of education, minister of states, or whatever, whoever is making those decisions concerning the type of education. How do we get involved? So that we can explain that when we were in China, this is how we saw the Chinese do education. When we were in America, this is how education is done in America. When we're in the UK, this is how education is done in the UK. Why is it so? So what do we do? What should we do differently if we want to be the best in our own country, in our own rights, making the best use of our skills, God-given talents, and the resources at our disposal? Without education, there is no life. So we need to look at that again and think. So if you have the opportunity to educate yourself now, or your parents are pushing you to go back to university or go to university and learn and study and be skilled, whatever, most of the times when we're young, we don't really understand this. We don't. But your parents know why they are pushing you. To some of you, like myself, I became civil engineer because my dad wanted me to be an engineer. So he goes about telling everybody in society, my son is an engineer. And he was so happy. I was never happy as an engineer because I didn't enjoy it. And when I came back to uni, studying law, I'm like, this is it. This is my life's purpose. So when your parents, most times, like I am saying to my children now, I want them to be a doctor, I want them to be a lawyer, I want them to be this. It is that parental instinct where you want security for your children. We are not there yet. And I watch the British children here who can do whatever they want to do, even if they do acts, which you'll be laughed at in most cases, in most countries, most communities, that you're doing something like dondology or drama, or, you know, people will laugh at you. But here it's big money because the society is so developed that they understand, and the society can pay, and society can reward you for your talents. We're not there yet. So when our leaders are making decisions, we have to be thinking, what do we need now? Just like the British did in the eras of industrialization, where they train the working force because they need them to be at the factories or in the factories and produce. So they were trained like that. When they go to school, they have to queue, walk in a straight line because that's what happened in the factories, dressed in the same uniform, you know, differently, you know, how everything designed so that you continue your life from school to the factory till you die. So what do we need now? Because that was somebody's own design to help their system survive for centuries. Today, the UK has gone back to the A levels. We were following UK and we went for this SSS they were running. Now they've gone back to the A levels and O levels. So we're going to go back again because we're following and following blindly. So when you become leaders, these are the things you have to look out for. How different am I from the rest of the world? Are my needs the same as other people's needs? China is all over the place looking for opportunities. They need raw materials because they need that to feed their factories. What do we need in Ghana? And that's a challenge to you. The third point is, when should one be educated? Like I said to you, I am back again after 21 years. There is no time limit, but earlier the better. Because at some point, you will go to an interview or you will read an advert and you will be told that the age limit for the job or the particular position is so and so. So there is a time will come, your age will stop you or prevent you from acquiring or, being employed in maybe the firm or business or an establishment you would love to have been, in a position you have loved to be. You cannot, because your age will not allow you. Whatever you find your hands on, any opportunity given to you, know that there is time attached to life. At some point, you will have to retire. At some point, you cannot do like you used to do. I love running. These days, I realize I cannot do much as I used to. I love playing football. I can't play like I used to. So that time will come in your own life too, where even your priorities will change. When you start having children, can you still go back to school or uni and do your master's or your PhD? Would you have enough money to help your children to university whilst you're also educating yourself? It's not possible, is it? So whatever we find ourselves with to do, let's do it with all our might, all our efforts, knowing that it's time bound. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to anyone. In the UK, they change their laws almost every month or every 3-4 months. You change the law to this, they change the law to that. And I've seen people who came here, for instance, with immigration, said, oh, next year I'll do it. Today they are qualified, but next year the law has changed. And they're like, oh no, should have done this last year. Yes. So you should have done this. And today you are uni. Whatever you're doing is today. Concentrate, focus, do whatever you can to be the best today. Because tomorrow is not guaranteed to anyone. Kobe Bryant died the last time, everybody was shocked. With all his money, fame, whatever, in his own chartered flight, ooh, bam, that's it. He's dead and gone with all the ideas he's got to help the needy in society. Everything is gone with it. So live your life as if there is no tomorrow. If you read some of Nkrumah's book, you will realize what I mean. He never thought, he just went out, normal travel, and couldn't come back to his own country. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to anyone. So where should one be educated? It depends.